So the news was that there were Big 12 coaching staffs that felt like their helmet to headset communication might have been hacked over the course of some games. Parties were unnamed for reasons that I believe everybody can understand, but it was a big enough infraction to these teams that they wanted the Big 12 to go and suss this out. And we got an answer about what's going on here, but I wanted to get at this by saying I am best friends with really a brother who works in IT and has worked in IT most of his life, right? He has sold the security for which your alarm systems are based on. He's also sold the security for which your CPUs are based on. And he has a high-ranking position as a systems administrator at, let's call it, a large corporation, right? Without putting too much of him out there, it is to say this is where I have these discussions about what is potentially going on from a standpoint of hacking, from a standpoint of encryption, from the standpoint of how many passwords do you need to change, and two-factor authentication. Everybody needs two-factor authentication. If you don't have it on all of your accounts, go do it. And if they don't offer it, ask why, because that's huge, right? For the most part, being a YouTuber means that you got to have that stuff on lockdown anyway, especially if you are, associated with a large company as I am, like Fox Sports. But it is a thing that is possible. And we've seen how it has affected the elections. We've seen how it has affected individual phones. We've seen how it elected, apparently, Mr. Beast reality TV show in that they were associated with the cloud hack. So, Cloud Strike. I just was like, wow, this is really getting here kind of quickly. But is it, though, right? Because I think this also stems from what Michigan was able to get away with for 3 years, which is stealing people's signs using methods that we know to be illegal, but we weren't good enough at tracking in real time. And then by the time everybody figured it out, it's too late. Michigan had enough to go win the national championship in 2023 and go 15-0. And the name Connor Stallions is infamous in all circles except Michigan, where that dude is kind of really thought of as a cool guy, right? I don't know that I would want that associated with my national championship, but apparently they just don't care, right? That said, we're waiting on seeing what the NCAA has told Michigan about its findings and what punishment it has actioned against Michigan. And Michigan has had 90 days going back to August to have something to say in response to this, and we're waiting their response, which should be coming in the next 3 weeks, quite honestly. As we're getting ready to have the College Football Playoff Selection Committee reveal its rankings for the first time on Tuesday, and we get a real sense of what these suits believe are the 12 best teams in college football and the 4 highest-rated conference champions, of which we expect the Big 12 to be one, just how we get here, right? So if you are the Big 12 and you get this kind of message from your member institutions about helmet-to-coach technology in year one, where we're still working out what's good and what's bad, how it's working, who's benefiting, or is it as equal and level as we want? And you have some real stakeholders in this thing, not saying nothing of GSC and CoachCom. So Max Olsman got a response from the Big 12, and the statement on the helmet communications issues was, following the industry-wide concern surrounding the helmet communications, the Big 12 conducted a review of conference games and helmet communications processes to address any issues member institutions raised regarding this matter. The review showed that at no point was any Big 12 competition compromised. All Big 12 helmet communications programs now have encryption updates from GSC, among other things. And I really am glad that they got on this as quickly as they did. I also think this is going to alert other conferences, other leagues, to look into their helmet to headset technology and find out if there's an encryption software in it. Because, well, we've reached the stage where we need to have encryption software in almost all of our communications. It's one of the reasons that WhatsApp is the most popular messaging application in the world, and why you can get encryption on your Facebook messages, on your text messages, most text messages. You should probably use Signal if you don't already for some of these communications. And I know for me, it's that big a deal. And I know that it's that big a deal for the Big 12, who there was a request to look at the equipment that the Big 12 was using. And this came from Texas AD Kirby Hocutt, and gave this statement. We've got to have a game whose integrity is not questionable in any way on Saturday afternoon. We owe it to 120 young men on our football team to ensure that happens, that it's a game of fair competition and the same set of rules are enforced. The Athletic actually got ahead of ESPN on this, and then ESPN has done a really good job of following up. But I think that, again, going back to what Michigan was alleged to have done in the sign stealing, everybody's on pins and needles, and nobody feels good about this. A frequency coordinator made something like a discovery in September when Texas A&M played Arkansas at AT&T Stadium. Coordinator said that he notified the SEC of findings, as well as Baylor and Texas Christian, which were forwarded to the conferences. And, of course, this meant that directors of football operations everywhere are running around with their hair on fire going, we got to figure out whether or not this thing is. But GSC, who did not want to talk to anybody about being hacked or maybe being hacked, said that they consulted some of their experts, and they shared some of the risk and some of the liabilities to access communication, but it was very low, right? The four conferences met in a weekly to discuss next steps, and each had the same path forward: to inform head equipment managers who are responsible for coach-to-helmet technology. We changed the frequencies while the software update in GSE was complete. In hindsight, the conferences should have shared this information with all of you. Again, we're going to have a heightened awareness for this because, A, we have the integrity of the game that we need to take into account, okay? If we can't trust that the game is honest and fair, we're going to lose the sport. We're going to lose any sport if we do that. And as we're betting on these games, and as lots of money is exchanging hand for the rights for these games, this is one of those things that, while it is going to facilitate, I think, fairness on the field, helmet communication, I don't know that we as football fans are in the best position to secure these communications. And I hope that the folks that are tasked with this taking it very seriously, because it really does hinge, right? This is a balance right here. And if we mess this up, we risk losing so much. And that's why I wanted to do this segment. I wanted to say, does the Big 12 have a hacking problem? And apparently the answer is no. But vigilance, awareness, these are the reasons why you have to change your passwords and why they offer you a strong password that you could never remember because you're not supposed to. You're supposed to write it down on a piece of paper and put it in a lockbox somewhere. Keep it as analog as you possibly can. That is inconvenient for us. And what we usually sacrifice for the convenience is our personal information, our personal data, offering it up because we just want to get to where we're going. And we don't think that anybody would really care enough to, hack us or take anything from us. Yeah, absolutely, they do. And as soon as it is open, it is something that gets to use. I'm sure you got notified of somebody trying to hack your stuff, but if you had two-factor authentication on it, it's fine. You're okay. You just get to say, flag this, and get rid of it. Same thing happens with bank accounts, credit cards, all those sorts of things. For that matter, right, we could all take a lesson here. Let's just go check it out. Let's make sure everything's working the way it should be working, and then let's go from there.